Hi, Ron. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. It's very nice to meet you. Let's start with a quick intro to kick things off. Can you share a little bit about yourself and tell me your carnivore journey? How did it all start?
Okay. Yeah, my name is Ron. I'm from the Carnivore Trip. You can find me on Instagram or you can find me on TikTok. So my carnivore journey started January 1st, 2024. My life has been spent, finding different ways to lose weight. But every time I lost weight, I'd gain the weight back because I would lose the weight and I hit a goal and I start celebrating with, goal foods, ice cream, pizza, whatever. And I never knew that health was an issue. So the reason why I started carnivore is because I started getting more and more unhealthy. I had acid reflux every day, severe acid reflux. I had chest pains. I had tingling in my legs anytime I ate. My snoring was bad. I had really bad gut issues. I had hypertension, and I never got it diagnosed, but I had type 2 diabetes like symptoms. So I feel like I was either close or I was type 2 diabetic, and I just felt like my mind, my body, everything just was not working as it should. So I started the journey in January, and I quickly lost weight. But what I found is after like 3 or 4 weeks, maybe even sooner, that a lot of my symptoms, like the acid reflux and the tingling and all that stuff, went away. I'm like, there's something to this carnivore thing, because for me, I initially started it to lose more weight again. Maybe if I lost weight, those symptoms would go away. But I found myself feeling better all the way around, mind, body, soul, from eating meat and eggs, and I was just blown away. Like, how is this happening? I thought I was just losing weight, but my body's actually gaining its health back. So that's the start of my journey, man. It's been a fun carnivore journey for sure. Just made 2 years, January 1st.
That's awesome. 2 years of carnivore journey. I'm gonna hit my 2 year mark on May 1st. So
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
pretty cool. Yeah. So, how long were you had this health issues? Was it like since high school or like since college that you were having the food addiction issue?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a long story. I'm gonna try to tell it as best as I can. So I was actually talking to my wife about this last night. Funny enough, um, whenever I started making my own money, is when I was able to eat the food that I was really wanting to eat, and that was a lot of the ice creams and the fast food because me and my friends in high school would go out for lunch and we would hit up fast food restaurants and stuff. And so food addiction really started when I started making money as a junior in high school, and so my weight started exploding when I was a junior in high school. I was an athlete at the same time, and my sport was in the summer. And I remember my junior year, I gained maybe about 30 or 40 pounds of just fat. And I got to day one of practice, and my coach is like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck happened?" And so food addiction started then, and it lasted pretty much my whole adult life. I'd go on these yo-yo dieting trips where lose the weight, gain the weight, lose the weight, gain the weight. And then I started noticing different things with my body, like my gallbladder started having issues. And like I said, I started having the chest pains and acid reflux and all that stuff. It just periodically crept in. Um, so, yeah, food addiction from the time I was a junior until the time I was 40. That's a long time.
Wow, yeah, that's quite a long time. You mentioned this changes happen like with the acid reflux going away, chest pain, the tingling in the feet. Did this happen like gradually, or did it took like a few months, a few weeks before you noticed the changes?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, it was within 3 to 4 weeks that I noticed that it was all gone. It could have been sooner, but I don't remember exactly when it left. All I remember is that like I used to go to bed and I used to have to prop myself up on a pillow a little bit so the acid, wouldn't, start eating away at my throat. Um, but the tingling went away almost instantly, And that's because it only really happened when I was eating carb heavy, sugar heavy foods. And so once I stopped doing that, I wasn't getting the tingling. But the gut issues, when they went away, I thought, man, I will never leave the carnivore diet ever again, because having the IBS was just, it was terrible. And I'm a plumber by trade, and we drive a lot as a service plumber to go around, get customers taken care of, and you just never knew when you were going to have to use the bathroom, and you could be in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, there are some trying times. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. I think changing your relationship with food, I think especially maybe in your case, I think it's not that simple, especially when is tied to stress and old habits. If you've done this for like years and so on, maybe decades. And I think it's what makes, I guess, carnivore not easy, especially for someone just starting. And you've been on your journey for 2 years now, and I think it's clear, you took your health seriously because you stuck with it just to see the effect. I think it's a solid approach. Um, Before carnivore, did motivation felt like something you had to force? Did you believe like things could change once at this point before carnivore?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I'm very determined. Whenever I set a goal, I'm gonna do it, whether it was hard to do or whether it was easy to do. So, like I said, my journey was up and down, up and down. I would lose weight, um, gain weight, lose weight, gain weight. So I did all the diets, I did all the exercise programs, and I think my mind is strong enough to go through those programs and through the diets and see the change and feel the change. So I knew the carnivore diet was going to be easy for me, because for me, the easier the diet, the better for me, because the less I have to think about food, the better. So I did vegan for a while, and the vegan thing was terrible because I was constantly thinking about when was I going to get my next bowl of vegetables or my next bowl of fruit. Um, but when I went to keto, I felt, like I was less hungry all the time. But the problem with keto for me was, whenever I was hungry, and being a plumber, I would find keto treats, because they had the name keto on them. I thought that they were still good for me. And the keto treats led me back towards eating real sugar and real carbs. And so I just found that keto was more difficult for me than carnivore. But back to the question, I didn't think that it was going to be difficult. I knew it was going to be a journey, and that's why I made my name. This is a trip, and we're taking a trip on this carnivore thing, and we're going to see where it goes. So I knew it was going to be a journey, and but I'm so happy that I'm a part of not just the carnivore lifestyle, but a community of people that are waking up to what true health and nutrition is.
Yeah, pretty awesome. What was your favorite food before carnivore? Because I know you mentioned this food and that. Yeah, do you have anything specific that you like to buy or to, like, cook?
Yeah, yeah. I liked food in general, but if I could get a Philly cheesesteak sandwich, I would do that almost any day of the week. That Chinese food was another one, because where our office was, where our plumbing building was, we were close to several different options: Chinese, sandwiches, and gas station food. So yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think the same way for me. I like Chinese food. I like pasta and pizza, all in the past when the cravings went away. I think, like, most people try halfway or incomplete and then they move on, like when it's not, when they think it's not working, especially with carnivore, they probably try it for a couple of days and then they think it's not working. What motivates you now? Like, does it feel more like a sense of duty, spreading awareness, or maybe frustration with the nutrition guidelines, or wanting to help spread awareness with others?
It's a little bit of everything, really. I There's something in me that loves vengeance. Like, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it. Or if you're telling someone else they can't do it, I'm going to tell them to do what you told them not to do. It's just something in me. So when they say that red meat is bad for you, and I found complete health through eating red meat, I'm going to tell people that red meat is absolutely good for you, and we should tell everyone else that red meat is good for you. I love the fact that I'm a dad and I'm getting my health back, and so I like to try to speak to the family man, right? We need healthy fathers to be around for their kids, and if you can get it through the carnivore diet, then I'm going to share whatever I can with you. And so it's a little bit of everything. I'm not so much science based as I am more an experience based carnivore. I trust that science is saying meat is good, sure, but because I've experienced health through the carnivore diet, I'm going to use my experience as what drives me rather than listening to a study or a scientist say that, yeah, meat is good for you, you should eat meat. I know meat is good for me because I've experienced it.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Looking back at the start of your carnivore journey, since it's been 2 years, were there any mistakes you made, especially in the beginning? How did you learn from them? Or like, did you ever had a moment of doubt? Hey, maybe the carnivore is going to give me heart attack in the future, or maybe it didn't work a certain point, and then but you kept on going to see the result. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did some studying on the carnivore diet before I jumped in. So I knew going in that I wanted to do the carnivore diet. And that's because when I was doing keto, I started seeing more and more about the carnivore diet. And did I think people were crazy for just eating meat? Yes, I did. But I'm like, I'm willing to give it a shot because of how my body is feeling. So I went in with the mentality that I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do it as best as I can for as long as I can. And so January 1st, 2024, I started with a 3-day water only fast to break caffeine addiction, carb addiction, and just cold turkey, just take the plunge. And I went strong January all the way through October. Didn't have a cheat, didn't question one time why I was doing carnivore. Instantly started feeling better. I'm dropping weight. I'm getting lots of compliments about how my body's changing, how I look. The brain fog, anxiety, depression, all that stuff is lifting off me. So I'm like, if this is how it's going, then I'm gonna keep going. But I made one mistake in October of 2024 that changed my life for a couple months. I decided that because of how well I was doing, I was going to have a cheat meal, and I had some chicken Alfredo that my wife made, and it took me 4 months to get back on the carnivore diet. For some reason, it was just the hardest thing to do. I gained 45 pounds back in that 4 months because I don't have a moderation gene in me. So if I'm eating anything, I'm going to eat until I don't want to eat anymore. And so I gained 45 pounds back, and I'm like, man, some of these symptoms are coming back: the brain fog, anxiety, depression. So I got to get back on the carnivore diet. So in, I believe it was February of 2025, let's do it. I'm going to do carnivore again. So did carnivore. And a couple months later, my wife and we went on a trip down to Alabama. And I'm like, I've been doing good. I dropped some more weight. Let's go out and eat since we're on vacation. And I made another mistake, and I ate some Mexican food, and 4 months later, again, here I am struggling, gaining weight back, and I'm like, I got to get back to it. The carnivore diet, now I know, is the lifestyle that I want to lead. I want to lead this lifestyle because, one, it makes me feel the best. Two, it's simple for me. And three, I've gained my health back in more ways than one. Like I said, mental health, physical health, they've all come back to me, which makes me ultimately a better husband and a better father and a better friend and a better worker. So, the cheating has stopped, and I like to say that I'm never going to have carbs again. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think I found true and ultimate health through the carnivore journey.
That's awesome, Ron. I know you probably heard many carnivores talk about their experience with oxalate dumping. Have you had that experience somewhere in your journey?
I don't really think so. When I started the journey and I did that 3 day water only fast, like any symptoms of a keto flu or carnivore flu just went out the window. For some reason, my body just responded to carnivore right away really well. And every time I've hopped off and hopped back on, I don't think I've ever really experienced oxalate dumping, and I've never really experienced the keto flu. Now, when I try to stop drinking coffee, that's when I have more of the the headaches and stuff like that. But oxalate dumping and keto flu type symptoms, haven't had it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because yeah, if you hadn't had like oxalate dumping, I think that's a good thing. Because as I've heard from many carnivores, they go through this like usually in the beginning or maybe a couple of months to the carnivore. But I think it's a good thing if you're not gonna have it. So yeah,
Yeah,
what does
and
a
everyone's
typical?
different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. What does a typical day of week or eating for you look like? Do you keep it pretty consistent or do you switch things up? Maybe you can walk me through what you usually eat now.
Yeah, so I keep it pretty consistent, and over the 2 years, it's changed very little. Um, when I started with carnivore, I did have meat aversion, so I wasn't wanting to eat the high fatty meats. So I ate whatever was palatable for me. So it was like breakfast sausages, more cheese, and processed meats like spam and stuff like that, in order to make the transition more easy for me. Meat aversion was real. Anytime that I put a spoonful of ground beef in my mouth, I felt like I wanted to throw up. But once I got past that, it was a lot of ground beef, a lot of frozen beef patties, and a lot of eggs. Very rarely did I go away from beef and eggs and have like chicken for a meal. Like I had it on occasion, I would have chicken, but mainly beef and eggs, and occasionally I'll have like a pound of bacon to go with my meal. And I usually eat 1 to 1.5 times a day. If I eat one full meal a day, I'm not that hungry, so I'll have just a little bit of food if I do feel like I could eat again. But it's usually 4 to 6 ground beef patties. Get those at Costco, and 6 to 12 eggs. And we usually get farm fresh eggs from one of my wife's clients. So we're pretty stocked up on beef and eggs in our house.
That's awesome. I'm curious, have you ever tried something unconventional within the carnivore framework? Like I know some carnivores, they eat meat raw. I guess mostly on the beef side. I'm not sure about chicken and pork. Have you done something unconventional within the carnivore framework?
Unconventional, as far as the raw meat goes, I did have some raw steak, and it was funny because some other people from the carnivore community, we all just did it on the same day. We're like, hey, let's just eat some raw steak. So I had raw steak. My son is like, I want to try it. So my 10-year-old had some raw steak, and stuff like that. As far as like other things, I'm not too keen on raw meats other than the steak that I had. I'm not gonna do raw liver or anything like that. But I do like to experiment within the carnivore um, umbrella on foods that I could eat. So I like to make a lot of like different carnivore pizzas whenever I get the chance. I'll use a chicken breast crust, and I'll do like a chicken Alfredo pizza, or I'll do like a meat lovers pizza with ground beef and some bacon and sausages and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I've been doing the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Um, what is the hardest thing about being carnivore? For me, it has been the social gatherings, right? Especially holiday just passed, Christmas and Thanksgiving. Also the travel. You have to pack up stuff and cravings in the beginning that went away somewhere in my journey. What's been the hardest thing for you?
I think that traveling has probably been the biggest thing. Now, I grew up in Hawaii, and so I go back to Hawaii occasionally. I just went back in January or in July, sorry, and I knew what I needed to eat. And still, when you're sitting in the airport and you're traveling long distance from Ohio to Hawaii, all the stops you have to make, it's just tempting to have something from the airport because you want to eat something that's different than a meat stick. But typically, what I do is I'll go to Costco and I'll get like Chomps beef stick or Archer beef sticks and pork rinds. Those are gonna be what I use for snacks. And then when I landed in Hawaii, we went straight to Costco, and I was able to get some beef sticks, some cold beef sticks. They're like almost like a foot long, all natural beef sticks, and I just munched on those. And I ate a lot of raw fish, and that's how I kept myself from slipping up in Hawaii. Now, my family knows, and my extended family knows that comes over for Thanksgiving and Christmas that I'm doing the carnivore diet. Anytime that they come over, they know that I'm eating meat and eggs. So they had a great Thanksgiving meal. They had a great Christmas meal. They had a great New Year's meal. And I had a great New Year's meal because I'm eating steak, I'm eating ribeye roast, and I'm eating, my burgers and eggs. So, I mean, it's difficult when you travel. It's not so much as difficult anymore in the social gathering because everyone around me knows that this is what I do, and I'm not easily deviated from my carnivore foods.
I see. Yeah, it's pretty cool. How does your family? I think you mentioned your wife. Is she in doing carnivore? And how about your kids? Are they also maybe a keto mix or a carnivore too?
Right.
Are they
This
in
is
sync
the
with your
heart.
diet?
Yeah, so this is the heartbreak of a father. I wish I wish they were more keto carnivore. My wife likes to eat what nutrition or fitness people would call a clean diet. Chicken and vegetables and stuff like that, which is great. She loves it. She loves eating that way. My oldest daughter eats anything that she wants. My youngest daughter, she likes to eat more on the health conscious side as well, a lot of yogurts, a lot of chicken and salad and stuff. My boys, whenever they do get to eat what I'm eating, they really love it. And they would lean that way more and more if it wasn't for going to school and having friends and being athletes. Whenever they're, you know, given the opportunity to have sugar and treats, they're definitely going to have sugar and treats. And I can't fault them for it because, all that stuff is good. And, I would love for them to be strict, but, they're growing, they're going to learn.
Yeah, that's cool. If you had to describe the impact of carnivore in your life, what one word would you describe it and why?
Transformational. And the reason why, like I said earlier, it hasn't just transformed my weight. It's transformed my body. It's transformed my mind. It's transformed my health. So it's ultimately the most transformational diet that I've ever been on in my life. And I could go more into how it transformed my life in, if you have time, because um, it did something amazing in my life, and that's the story that I really want to get across to people. If they're wanting to try the carnivore diet because of mental health, then I definitely recommend it because how it actually changed my life. So
Ron, I actually have time. We actually wanted to go. Let's go deeper about the mental health, how it transformed everything. Yeah,
yeah, awesome. So one thing that I never understood is how food actually impacts the way you think and the way you react and the way you act. And I didn't realize with the way I was eating when I was eating like a trash panda that it was affecting my mental health. And like I said, a lot of my adult life, I started, losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, and ultimately it just had the worst effect on my mental health that I can imagine. It was in 2018 after losing weight, getting in the gym, doing CrossFit. Um, I jumped off and I started, eating crap. I was in a stressful situation, and so I started consuming all the things that were bad for me. I was an emotional eater, and that led me into a really dark place where I felt completely worthless, and I didn't feel like I was good enough for anyone or anything. And I started listening to the negative thoughts. Had I known then what I know now, I may have been able to dig myself out of it, or had someone help me dig myself out of it. So I remember one day in 2018, I was driving to work into Columbus, which was about 45 minutes away from where I lived. And I just remember darkness overtook my mind, and I felt like I just wanted to drive head on into traffic and kill myself on the way to work, because I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. Now, if you looked from the outside, my life was not that bad that I would want to take my life. My family's amazing. We had a beautiful house. I had a business that was growing, and so you would think that I had a lot of good things happening, but mentally, I was struggling, man. The sugar and the carbs had eaten away at my brain, and I got to work somehow. And my dad was working with me at the time, and I'm like, Dad, I can't do this today. My mind's not here. I feel like I'm going crazy. There's something wrong with me today. I need to get out of here. And I left, and on the way home, I just had those thoughts again. Like, I don't want to live. And of course, my dad called my wife because he was worried about me. And my wife is trying to call me. She's calling friends, and everyone's trying to get a hold of me. And I didn't want to talk to anyone because I was bent. I was for sure. I was sure of myself that I was going to end my life that day. And I found a grocery store, and I sat in the parking lot, and I was just contemplating how I was going to do it. I wanted to drive in the traffic, or I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. And it was a hot summer day, and I decided I was going to go home and I was going to try to do it in front of my house. It's really, really stupid, man. Like, I can't believe that I ever let myself think like this. So I had a big black SUV Expedition. It was black leather interior, tinted windows. It was a hot summer day, and I sat in front of my house, and I cranked up the heat with my windows rolled up, and I was just going to cook myself in front of my house. So, my family would find me. And it's a hard story to share because, like I said, it didn't seem like it was that bad from the outside, but I just couldn't think straight. Um, Anxiety, depression, all that stuff was at an all-time high, and I just um, had no idea what it was doing to me. I snapped to it. I'm sweating profusely in my car. I felt like I was like in a swimming pool. I was sweating so much. And I went into the house and I hid under my kid's crib. I didn't want anyone to find me. I just put pillows, next to me, and blankets next to me so no one could see me. My wife ended up finding me, and we ended up talking through some things. But for the next 2 to 3 years, I really don't remember my life because I stayed in this depressive, anxiety, fearful state for what I was going to do. My wife was so gracious at the time. She's a freaking rock star. She stayed by my side. She had people pray for me. She had um, people come and try to see me. I'd put on a happy face when people were around, but inside I was dying. In my mind, I was dying. And when I found keto carnivore or keto, all that stuff started to lift a little bit. And I still didn't realize what was happening or why it was happening, but I noticed that I was getting a little more happy. I was able to, do more activities with my kids, do more activities with the family, do more activities for myself. And when I fell off the keto wagon, bam, that depression came back. And so it was just like these years of just battling with this mental struggle. And when I finally found Carnivore, not knowing that Carnivore can actually help lift brain fog, when it actually happened and it lifted off of me, I felt so light and amazing, and I had no idea that I could feel that way. And so that's why the carnivore diet isn't just about weight loss, for me anyway. It's about total health. And when I use the word transformational, it truly was transformational. Physical health, I dropped a lot of weight. My gut issues went away, the acid reflux went away, the tingling in the legs went away. Mentally, the anxiety lifted, the depression was gone, fear of my life was gone. I started to get joy again, which to me I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't felt like this in years. So all these things started happening to me on the carnivore diet. And I noticed, and I told you there was a couple times where I fell off the carnivore wagon for a couple months at a time. I noticed that as soon as I did, that anxiety, that depression started coming back and the symptoms came back. So ultimately, I know now that the carnivore diet is so transformational for me that if I stick to it, my life is going to be far greater than if I were to eat a standard American diet. I'm so happy that they switched that food pyramid around too to say that, yes, let's eat some more red fatty meats, because this is not just transformational, it's life saving. And I hear stories all the time from carnivores saying that, yes, it cured some mental health issues. Now, if you've had mental health issues and you feel that lightness, you feel that depression come off of you, you know how good it feels to not have that, lingering over you. So, yeah, man, my story is not unique, but my story is mine. And I like to say that my story is a testimony. If it happened to me, it could happen to another person. And by sharing my story, it gives another person permission to overcome the same thing using the same thing that I use to overcome it. So if anyone's listening out there that has struggled with mental health, had suicidal thoughts, had depression, had anxiety, I recommend the carnivore diet for sure, but I also recommend finding community, finding people who will love you no matter what, that will help you get through, your struggle. But the carnivore diet can definitely change your life.
That's really amazing, Ron. I think it makes complete sense that it's transformational and, also applies to it goes beyond just the physical journey. And this is actually what I like to hear about the carnivore experience because it's not just about weight loss, like you mentioned, it's also about other things that we cannot see, like the mental health issues, like depression going away and other health issues. So that's really awesome. If you can give an advice to someone just starting, maybe someone who's struggling with mental health issue or just other related diseases, and they're skeptical about carnivore because it might give them heart attack or what they hear from the nutritional guidelines, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so it is a journey, and if you have the time and the willingness to stick it out for 90 days, you're going to notice that your life is going to change. 30 days is great. You'll notice some things. 60 days is even better. But the best way to see a difference in your life is giving it 90 days. Now, you're going to find more and more the more you dig into the carnivore diet that people are healing different issues with their body and with their mind by eating a strict carnivore diet. My recommendation is do what you need to do at the beginning to ease into it, whether it be taper off carbs or add in more cheese, more processed meats like I did in order to ease into it. But as soon as your body says to eat the red fatty meats, the higher fatty meats, do that. I recommend also that you don't do it just for weight loss. The scale is going to fluctuate whether you want it to or not, and it can mess with your head because you think that you're doing this for losing weight. If you listen to your body and your body starts responding in positive ways, that's far greater than seeing the scale drop. And because your body is healing from the damage that was done to it over the years of your life, when it starts healing itself, you're going to notice that the weight starts to come off. And that's going to take time. So be patient, because for me, I'm 42. It took me 40 years of damage to my body to get to the point that it was. It's not going to happen overnight that I do undo all that damage. So you have to be patient. You have to, go as long as you can without cheating. If you do cheat, forgive yourself, jump right back on the wagon. This is a very important thing for your life. If your health matters to you, you're going to find a way to do it. If your health matters to your family, you're going to find a way to do it. Your family needs you to be healthy. The world around you needs you to be healthy. So I recommend this diet 100%. That's all I have to say.
That's excellent, Ron. Um, Last question I wanted to ask, how do you see carnivore in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you see it like in the positive light, meaning more people joining in the community, more people healing? So, they're seeing this good results, so more people joining in. In the negative side, big pharma might not like it, so they might change the information to make it false, or maybe censorship, meat prices going high. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I do see a lot of people coming into the carnivore space, which is awesome. There's over 1 million people worldwide, and I'm sure it's growing by the millions as we go. I have a lot of people reaching out to me or following me on my social media accounts saying, I'm new to this, or you're inspiring me. And, I can see that people are coming into this space and they're excited because they're hearing all the stories of what carnivore can do. And I agree with you on the other side. Big pharma, news media outlets, politics, it's all going to play into how carnivore is going to go in the next 5 years. The stories are going to keep coming out. They're not just anecdotal. They're going to be some people that are doing real studies on what the carnivore diet is doing, and of course they're going to say that it's not true. Social media is going to have naysayers all the time. The news is going to have naysayers all the time. And like you alluded to, I'm sure the meat prices are going to go up. They're going to try to hit farmers hard on raising their cattle and all that stuff. And if this is important to you, you're going to find ways to stick to the carnivore diet, whether it be raising your own chickens, whether it be raising your own cattle, your own livestock. You're going to do whatever you can in order to maintain your health and your sanity. So there's going to be negativity for anything that's positive in the world. It always has been like that. Wherever there's good, there's going to be evil. So if you choose to do this and you find worth and you find value in it, then you're gonna find ways to make it a part of your life.
Yeah, Ron, I completely agree with your outlook. Yeah, I see it both negative and positive at the same time. Ron, if people want to reach out or follow you, I think you mentioned it right from the beginning also, but can you just say it again? Where's the best place to connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm mainly on Instagram at the Carnivore Trip, which is right there on the screen, the Carnivore Trip. I also just started a TikTok less than 2 weeks ago, and I'm gonna be posting there as well. And TikTok name is the Carnivore Trip as well. So you can find me there. With my page, you're gonna find humor, authenticity, and carnivore chaos. Basically, I'll share meals, I'll share ideas, I'll share humor. I like to make people laugh. That's just what I do. That's why I get shirts like this to make people laugh. And I also just like to have a good time. If it ain't fun, I'm not going.
That's awesome, Ron. I'll make sure to post them all in the description for people so they can reach you. Ron, thank you again for joining me. I really enjoyed hearing your story and your carnivore experience. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Joseph, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciated talking to you. It's been awesome. Thank you.